All right, so today I'm looking at a Samsung electric oven range, and the problem with this one is that the display here is not turning on. None of the buttons are working, no lights are coming on at all, and so pretty much you can't use any of the functions on here. Most importantly, bake, broil, or roast. So pretty much the top here is still working fine. All of these switches are good, but the bake is not working because the display is not turning on. First thing you want to do is come to the back here, unplug this from the wall, and you want to check and make sure that you got 120 volts coming off of each leg. You're going to need a multimeter to check that. You should know how to do that. If you have a multimeter, you want to go to V volts AC. Make sure you got 120 volts on both sides, so 240 volts total coming out of that outlet. If you do have voltage coming out of the outlet, that means that the appliance is obviously getting supplied with voltage, and that's not your problem. So what you want to then do is come down. You'll see,
as I am looking back through this video and editing it, there was one small obvious detail, but may not be obvious to everyone. When you check the outlet for proper voltage, if it's got 240 volts and everything is fine, I mean, it can be 240, it can be, up to like 250, 260, down to 230. As long as in between 230 and 260, it's fine. And so if the outlet has proper voltage, plug it back in to continue with the rest of the testing, like have voltage going to it, if that makes sense.
main board here, right here is the user interface board. With this issue where there is no lights on the display, it is going to be this or this that's causing the problem.
I did want to mention right here that most likely it is the problem with the main control board or the user interface control board. But of course you want to make sure that your terminal block isn't burnt up. And if it's not burnt up and it looks fine, then yeah, main control board or user interface board.
And how you want it, so how you know 100% which one it is you take your multimeter, switch to volts DC. Once you're on volts DC, you come up here and you see this plug right here. Let me zoom in. CN200 main comm. All right, so what you want to do is unplug that CN200 main comm, and you're gonna place your meter leads on the bottom of this wiring harness on those two pins. One in from the far outside ones, just like that. And if you do it right, you should see that there are 8 volts DC, and you're holding it on those two pins. If you don't get the 8 volts DC, then it means that you have a bad main board. If you are getting 8 DC volts there, it means that you have a bad user interface control board. And so in this case, it's the user interface control board that I need to change out.
So one thing I did want to include in this video, because it's my video, I just want to include this because I think it's cool, I think it's neat, I think it's funny, I like it. What happened was all these clips that you saw previously before the next clip here, this all happened on March 17th, 2025. And so I went out to this house, customer had the complaint, Samsung, oven not working, display not working. Went out, diagnosed that it was a bad user interface control board, looked up the part, and the part that I needed was not available on that day, March 17th. But on the site that I was looking at, it said it may be available during April, which was in, like 13 more days or whatever. I set a reminder on my phone to check 13 days later or whatever. And so April came around, I looked up the part, and it was available now. So I reached out to the customer. He was totally fine to pay the price to get it fixed. And so I kind of just like went on this gamble that I believed I knew what would fix it. And it's like, if this doesn't fix it, I'm gonna look like a complete idiot. And you know, sometimes you just gotta trust your gut and believe in what you know is, if that makes sense. Write this down. Crucial information. And you just trust yourself. And like, you know, I could have just guessed on something else. I could have just been like, oh, it's the main board that we need because that part was available at the time. But it's like, no, I'm just gonna sit and wait and do the right thing. And you always do the right thing and it ends up working out. So I just want to include that in this. It's kind of cool.
All right, I got the new part for the oven assembly PCB, also known as user interface board. So we're gonna put that in today, and first we're just gonna start with getting it unplugged here. And we're gonna just take off. Actually, all I had to do was just take out the 5 screws holding in just the top panel right there. There's the little board that we need to change out. So we're first just gonna start by unplugging everything from it real quick. Boom. Bam. Bop. Bada bop, boom. Pow. Oh. There's also this little guy right here that you're gonna have to get off. How you do that is you just lift up on that black tab and pull it out. And then that's it. Ready to unscrew. Should just be just these 4 screws holding it in. Fudge. Oh, just 2. Not even 4, just 2. Set those aside. And then, yeah. I think that's it. Yeah, it just comes right out after that. Got that one taken out. That new one put in. Everything is in. Time for the moment of truth. Cross your fingers, everybody. Everybody. Pray to God. Yes. It worked. Bloody fucking worked, my friend. Everything is gonna be fine.
Just to end this video with a nice outro here, what I wanted to include was that you obviously saw how it fixed the problem. What you want to do after that is just hit clock, set the time, hit start, it'll set the time, and then you want to obviously make sure that everything works, the broil, the bake. In my situation, everything was working great, fix the problem. You may have the same Samsung that looks the same from the front and maybe different looking in the back, but I hope that this video was able to help someone. You know, that's the whole point. If it helped you, please leave a like, subscribe. Other than that, I just did want to mention that the customer, which was the landlord of the house, was very pleased, and the tenant, which I met at the house when I came back to do the repair, she was very happy, and they both left me a 5-star Google review. And so, you know, it felt great. It was just commitment and just success all in one bundle.